Hey idiots, welcome back to Observe. So the last couple videos in this series have done pretty well, and you have hit every marker that I've been wanting to be able to see to let me know that you want to be able to see these. So I am now doing Shane's video. I'm going to analyze it. I'm not going to do an analyzation of it because that's not a word, but I am going to do an analysis of it. So, non-verbally speaking, I know a little bit more about Shane because I've seen a couple of his videos here and there. Also, I was able to spend some time watching some of his other videos to be able to establish a solid baseline to be able to work off of, and Shane's baseline is largely very relaxed with a fair bit of expression in the eyebrows, and he does this gesture and this gesture a fair bit as well. So those are all things that I have noticed and I'm taking into account while I do this reading. Now this reading is going to be centered around two different video clips of Shane. The first one is going to be his Instagram live reaction to Tati's video, and then the next one is going to be his older apology video. There's a fair bit to say in each of those, so let's go ahead and just start. Let's just go ahead and start in on this.
Oh, of course. Is that another ad? Another ad. I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my mind. This is so This is, oh my God. Okay. I'm live because I can't even process. I need a drink of water. I fucking can't process this. This is insane. This is insane. This is insane. This woman is a oh my God. Oh my God. I'm going to wait till as many people get in here as possible because I'm losing my mind. Keep playing it. Keep playing it.
I didn't know I was making a video. So how is it that so many editorial outlets knew that something was coming before I had...
Because you message drama channels. Oh my God. Oh my God.
I struggled with the decision
Oh my
to
God.
film my video for days. The night before I did film, Jeffrey sent me what he claimed was an audio file from an alleged victim and told me to listen to the pain in their voice. The audio was clearly a small portion of the conversation. It wasn't enough for me to contact the authorities. It was enough to scare me.
Well, then why would you make a video on the matter claiming these allegations?
Because she is a I can't. I don't want to say mean things about people. This is insane. This is insane. This person literally... Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, sorry. Keep pressing play. I need to get through this video so I can... Oh my God.
As a victim of abuse myself...
Oh my God. You are so manipulative.
To think of facing public...
You're fake crying. You are fake crying. You are fake crying. That is not real. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Contact authorities.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It was not my
Oh my
place.
God. I was molested. I have been, oh my God.
Victim.
That is not,
And I made no mention of it in my video.
oh my God.
Get off.
The night before posting my video by sister,
Oh my God.
I texted Shane sharing my concerns for James Charles, that he was out of the country on the high floor of a hotel and I was afraid for
Okay, alright. That was him reacting to Tati doing that video, and I've already done that reaction. I've already analyzed that if you want to be able to go and watch that. So Shane's reaction here, all in all, is overall genuine. He is expressing genuine anger, maybe to a little bit of an amplified degree. It feels amplified to me. Shane is an expressive person, I do know that, and I do know he has a tendency towards the dramatic side of things, and that comes from his history in acting and also his personality. You can see the anger largely in a couple various areas. If you look in a certain area, you can see a lot of action up in here. This is where a lot of anger will display itself. However, you can also see the sort of deadpan anger that you would notice, where his face and eyes are largely expressionless, but with that like kind of cold expression that you would expect to see in that sort of anger. Along with that, you could see this tight-lipped expression here closer to the end, and this is also an indicator of genuine anger. So he is genuinely angry. I do hope that he will make a video in reaction to Tati's video that's not just him more or less throwing a tantrum on Instagram Live, but is actually him reacting to it so I can have a better analysis. So that is that specific read, and that leads us on to the next part of this video, which is going to be his actual taking accountability video. Now, he did this one before the stuff with Jeffrey and Tati came out, and it was in inspiration, as he put it, from Jenna Marbles' video, which I may do a video on Jenna Marbles' video. If this video gets 5,000 likes or more, I'll do a video analyzing Jenna Marbles' apology. Yeah, you know what? Let's just go ahead and dive into it so we can understand.
Hi. If you've been watching me for a while, then you know that I have done a lot of things in my past that I hate, that I wish I could make go away, that I try to make go away by deleting videos or untagging my...
Okay, so right off the bat, we're seeing his normal baseline kind of expressions coming out with action in his eyebrows and a lot of the hands together gestures. And so that's all good indications as to where he's speaking naturally. Now, what I see here right off the bat is he does an expression which is called a mouth shrug. It looks like this. And now what a mouth shrug indicates is, as all nonverbal communication is, up to some interpretation, but largely it indicates a presence of insecurity or no confidence in what's being said. And I'm gonna give you a heads up. I've gone through this video a couple times and that expression comes up a lot. I went through and I counted, and it comes up 29 times in a 20-minute video. I'll explain kind of what that means later on in the video. Another thing that you will have noticed is that within that first 16 seconds of this video, he has already had multiple jump cuts. And the reason that this is important non-verbally is because oftentimes after sentences are said, you can see some of the emotions from it spill out, and he's cutting it out. Now that makes sense for videos like this where it's informational and you want things to continue to flow, or entertainment value and you want them to flow, but during an apology, it's not so much important that it flows so much as you're communicating your genuine apology to people. Him having so many jump cuts is a barrier to that. I counted the number of jump cuts in 1 minute and averaged it across 20, and if that math stands up, he has roughly 260 to 300 jump cuts in one 20-minute apology video. But let's go ahead and dive into the rest of it.
Instagram things, or literally doing whatever I can to pretend like those things didn't happen. Because yes, I apologize for a lot of them, but I'm 31, almost 32. Those apologies suck. I don't know who that person is anymore. Every apology video I've ever made has been from fear. It's me sitting at home thinking the whole world hates me, and crying and hyperventilating, and then just turning on a webcam and just saying I'm sorry, and then hoping people know I'm a good person, and then it'll go away. And that is stupid. That is something that a child does, not something that a 31-year-old man does. That's not good. Right now is very much a...
Part of that is true. Now, here's the thing. Non-verbally speaking, Shane is out of the three, out of Tati, Jeffrey, and Shane is the best actor out of all of them. There are going to be points in his apology where he says things that have been directly contradicted and shown to be wrong, and during that time there's not really any non-verbal tell to show that, to show misalignment, to show any sort of mental acrobatics with that sort of situation that you would expect to see in somebody who is being deceitful. And the reason for that is because Shane has been, one, doing YouTube for a very long time, and then he also has been trained as an actor, and whether or not he's a good actor is another question, but in this, he's showing that he has the ability to act well. And so what we are seeing from him is the correct emotive expression to the emotion being talked about. This could be seen as being genuine, but in this sort of situation, since we do know that he is lying in areas, this is more an indication that he is simply good at lying. So this is going to be an interesting read. Let's keep going.
Time of wanting people to be accountable, wanting punishment for people, and I agree. And that's why I made this video.
I agree with that big old mouth shrug. Once again, mouth shrugs and nonverbal communication aren't always just set in the stone as to their meanings, but having that massive of a mouth shrug right after a statement like, I agree, indicates that he might not totally agree, or he is feeling vulnerable about the situation. So you could take that either way. Like I said, I looked at other videos of his to see if this is something that comes up often, and it's not. It's simply not something that comes up often in his facial repertoire, is this mouse shrug. But in this video coming up 29 times, and that's with 260 plus jump cuts to cut out dead space in between. If it's coming up that amount of times in a single video, something's wrong with the video. And I feel like part of it is because he's trying to be vulnerable, but the other part of it is because he might not necessarily believe what he's saying, aka he could be lying. So let's go ahead and keep going through this. I'm going to try to keep things moving cleanly as we go on through.
You can apologize, but you can't expect the other person to just forgive you. Like that's doesn't make any sense. So I think this video for me...
So that expression there where he says that doesn't make any sense, it's a slight disgust expression, which is good. And either one, this is because he believes that it doesn't make any sense, or because he understands what emotions he's supposed to portray at the same time.
It's more about just saying everything I want to say and ways that I want to help be a part of a change and not be a part of a problem, which is what I've been a part of. So I'm going to start with all the racism that I put onto the internet. As an adult, not a child, I was at least 20 when I started YouTube, and I made the decision to play stereotypes of black people or Asian people or Mexicans or pretty much every race. I made that decision. I said, oh, this is funny, and I put it on the internet. Now, years later, I look back at that, and I've talked about this before, but when I say I hate that person, I mean it in the most intense way possible. I hate that person so much. That person was filled with sadness, filled with anger about their own issues, in the closet, constantly projecting on others. Just
a lot of mouth shrugs in this, and this could be, once again, that state of vulnerability. During these analyses, I am going to be reading not only their nonverbal communication, but their tone, which is also nonverbal. The verbal is just strictly the words. The tone is something else that can be conveying deceit, can be conveying strain, so on and so forth. And then I will be touching some on the psychology and the verbal side of things, because all of it combined is what gives you a solid analysis rather than just looking at one specific leg of it. So that's kind of what's going on here. Let's keep going.
Like, I don't know, just that person is someone who I don't like seeing. And I think that's why I've been avoiding this, because I'm like, no, I already apologized. I don't want to go back. I don't want to see it again. I don't want to see it. Mute it on Twitter. Untag it on my Instagram. Like, I just don't. I hate that person so fucking much. Okay, so sorry.
Interesting thing there. He says that he hates that person, and then he puts his hands down, and then he says so much, and then he claps his hands, and then he continues. And it's kind of this jarring here, go sort of deal, and that's nonverbal misalignment. What this is he's forcing an emotion out so that people think he's feeling a certain way when he doesn't feel it deeply to his core at that moment. This was an excellent example of nonverbal misalignment. Let's go ahead and keep going.
I can tell you this. I don't have hate for any race or any people with weight issues or any of that, special needs. I don't have hate in my heart for anyone, but it doesn't make up for the fact that I made jokes about everyone. And some of the jokes were way too far.
Okay, so what he's saying, it sounds like he's being genuine, and it looks like he's being genuine, but it's hard to read because he's a good actor, but because he's got like 55,000 jump cuts in there. Whenever you start to look at his face, it's almost hard to just keep a track on his face because it's jump cutting so much. I would be able to read a lot easier with this if he just didn't jump cut it. But I have a feeling that this 20-minute video would have been 3.5 hours long by the time he had added all the space in between those jump cuts back in. We'll keep going.
Me as a white person wearing a wig and playing a character and doing stereotypes and then saying the N-word is something that I should have probably lost my career for at the time. And there's no amount of...
So he does a couple mouth shrugs there again. I should have probably lost my career for. A couple mouth shrugs tossed in there. And there's a couple reasons behind those. The psychological reason behind those are, I don't know, I should have probably lost my career for it. You know, I don't know. That literally is the translation for it. The broader expression is, I don't know, I should have lost my career for it. You could take it as, I don't feel like that. I really don't feel like that. And he could be doing that. That could be part of it. In fact, there's a large part of me that believes that it's probably true. However, during these sorts of situations, it would be less of him to say, yeah, you know, I should have kept everything. That's fine. You know, I should have kept everything. That would come across as less sorry than I should have lost everything. So might he not believe it? Maybe not. But once again, let's keep going forward.
That podcast is a source of so much awful shit for me, so many regrets for me. And I loved a lot of those moments, but a lot of them were like, what do we do to make it crazier? How do we make things more insane? Oh, how do we make it more shocking? Like Howard Stern. Like, it just got to a point where I'm happy it ended, because I wasn't even myself. I don't even know who I was at that point. Anyways,
Okay, so during this whole little area here, he starts to do something with his hands. So he starts talking like this, and as he goes along to talk about how he's been wrong in it, it moves to this. When you have your hands facing straight out like this during a conversation, it's usually in the mindset of fending off something. This is different, this is different, this is different, even this is different. This is usually an indicator of defensiveness, whether it's I don't want to deal with this, or I'm pushing this sort of emotion away, or anything along those lines. Whenever this comes up, that means that the person speaking is warding off something. So as he's starting to talk about himself doing these sorts of things and kind of implying that people are accusing him of that, he starts doing this defensive gesture, which basically is more or less saying, I'm trying to push these people away. Let's go ahead and keep going.
in the segment, I started talking about, figuratively murdering someone. And it was insane and gross. Now, she believes, and a lot of people believe, that I was talking about her. And I can say, if I had a Bible, I would put my hand on it. I can say, without a doubt,
So this part where he's doing this isn't the same defensive gesture because he's using it as a word picture. He's saying that there's a Bible here. He's putting his hand on the Bible. It might be a little bit over the top, but it's not something to where he's being defensive. It's drawing a word picture. Let's keep watching.
On a Bible, that was not about Francesca Lee. That was about another woman. Not that it makes it okay, because it doesn't. Talking about anybody like that is crazy, especially a woman. But it was about a white woman. And the ironic part is that woman was just trying to get through to me too. Like, she was just trying to explain to me why what I was making on the internet was hurting people. It was at a time when I was making a movie and I was constantly on the defensive. I felt attacked all the time, which is stupid. I shouldn't have felt like that. And it got so bad that, I don't know, it almost made me want to make the jokes crazier. To make everything crazier, almost like as a, screw you, I'm just gonna make it crazier. And that's one reason it's hard for me to watch that movie, because I would never make a movie like that now.
Interesting thing there, when he says, I would never make a movie like that now, he does a partial shrug that's then followed, which is another instance of nonverbal misalignment. Now, some nonverbal analysts will fly off the hook right there and be like, that's a sign of deceit. It shows that they're not being genuine because this side raised first and then this side, so that's a misaligned shrug, it's unbalanced, it's the same as a smirk, it's blah blah blah. It can be, absolutely can be, but just because you see that sort of instance does not mean that they are being deceptive. Chances are Shane would never make a video like that again. That's probably true. That sort of partial shrug like that is probably more an indicator of his feelings towards it rather than his deceptiveness. Let's keep watching.
I swear on my life, I am not somebody who would ever talk about a child, like in seriousness. I would never talk about a child in any way that was inappropriate. That is disgusting. That is gross. It is not something I would ever do. It is something I did for shock value or because I thought it was funny or like, oh my God, my child molester character or whatever. It's all gross. And I promise that is not real. That is not me. Have I done sketches where kids...
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause here. This is one of those instances where we do know that he's lying because there's video footage of it. there is evidence that shows he's lying, but his nonverbal communication isn't showing that he's lying, which this is one of those instances, like I said, that just shows he's a good actor. He is a good liar. He does have some defensive gestures in there, but all the way around, his nonverbal communication is being genuine while he's not. So he's lying and he's not showing it. Wow. Let's keep going.
I just was so thoughtless with things I was posting for so many years. I don't know. I wasn't thinking. I thought, oh, I'm in a weird category where I can say whatever I want. And I did. And now it's the biggest regret of my entire life. All of it. Now, even though my apologies...
No. He's going through and he's saying, I don't know, with his verbal and his nonverbal. He's got some shrugs in there. He's saying, I don't know. All of this centered around this idea that he's not proceeding forward with assuredness. He's not strong in this opinion. And then he gets to the end of my entire life, looks away, does a lip compression. All of this indicates that he might just be saying, I'm sorry for this, just to say he's sorry for this. He has been called out by plenty of people by now, and he's just saying, I'm sorry for the sake of saying I'm sorry in this instance. Now, don't get me wrong. All of these people that I analyze, there is a high chance that they are sorry or they have had a change of heart. And the only way to be able to tell is through actions later on. And so far, his actions are doing well, but I don't think he's as sorry as he says he is in this instance. Let's keep watching.
In the past for all of these things have not been good enough. They've not been thought out. They've been very fear-based. They've been not good at all. I do want to say, since I've apologized for those things in the past, I have made a lot of changes in my life. Changes in just every facet of me has changed. I'm not just saying it. I'm not just saying, oh, I'm going to stop doing that, guys. I did stop doing that. I stopped doing that stuff years ago. I don't use any racial slurs in my life. I've never used a racial slur in anger, ever in my life. That is not me.
That's true. What he said there, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know his past, but what he portrayed non-verbally, that's true. And that sort of, once again, adamantium tone that snuck into his voice with the leaning forward, the more aggression, that is all saying, challenge me on this. I have never done this sort of thing. That's usually pretty true.
I'm ready to own up to this stuff, and I'm ready to hopefully show you guys that it's okay to admit when you're wrong. It's okay to be upset at your past self for making mistakes, but also it's okay if people don't want to accept your apology, or if people don't want to support you anymore. That's okay too, and I understand. If you watching this video right now feel that way, please, I don't ever want you to feel like I'm forcing you to forgive me. That is not what I want to do. And I promise that I'm going to show you through my actions. And I promise that whatever I do next will be putting good into the world. And it won't be putting hate or drama or anything negative. And I'm going to stick by that. So thank you for watching this. If you watched the whole thing, thank you so much. And I hope that you learned some lessons from me, especially if you're young. I hope you learned a lot of lessons from everything that I have done, put out into the world, mistakes I've made. I hope that you can see that and know that it's never too late to address it and to change.
All right, so that was his video. Woo boy. Let's summarize real quick here. First and foremost, with the 29 mouth shrugs, that conveys a lot of a lack of confidence in what you're saying or a lack of sincerity. Take that as you will. A lot of them, in the context of what they were being said around, they lined up. They made sense. So I think for a large part of it, he was sincere, but there are absolutely instances that we know he isn't being sincere, and the sincerity that he's showing is because he's a really good liar. Just something that makes a nonverbal analysis much more difficult. Along with that, over 260 jump cuts in one single video is just too much for just about anybody. But all in all, out of the three, between Tati, Jeffrey, and Shane, I believe that Shane's was the most well presented emotionally with the nonverbal alignment side of things. This could be because he's a really good actor in this field. People who are doing YouTube for 15 years, they get used to doing YouTube. so it's easier and easier to perform and become genuine for a camera. That could be the case of what's happening here, but it also could be that he is genuinely trying to make changes in and of himself. That's my analysis of this. If you would like to be able to see me do non-verbal analysis of other celebrities, other YouTubers, so on and so forth, let me know in the comments below. If you did like this video, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you want to be able to see more. The channel's been moving places here recently, which has been cool to see. So I hope to be able to see more and more of you, but for now, that's all that I've got for the day. My name is Logan, and you have been oh so awesome as you always are. And I will see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.